What is up, guys? Welcome back to Friday Fuel. We got a super special guest today. I'm super excited. I know that this is a pre-recording, and it's for a very special event that happened. But when you guys are watching this, Thanksgiving just passed. Hope you guys ate a bunch of turkey, ate a ton, had a good time with family. But it's always time to put the foot on the gas, especially Q4. Just pounding it. So it's exciting. I'm excited to bring on this guest, but before I do, drop in the comments your weekly win. For me right now is just it's really cool to see new agents coming in and writing their first policies, even if it takes 4 hours in the home to take a couple apps. It's super exciting to see the team growing in that way, and seeing the syndicate growing as well. I mean, it's growing at such a rapid rate with all the channels going up. Friday Fuel, Monday Mindset, Tuesday Training, Wednesday Winning on Wednesday. I mean, we got 6 shows a week. We got Saturday cartoons, Tactical Thursdays with John Wetmore. I mean, it's blowing up. So I'm excited for this one, but drop in the comments your weekly win and maybe a special guest that you might want to see in the future. But the guy that we got today, our guest today, I'm super excited for. I mean, this guy is known for just not getting out of the field because he's an absolute animal. I mean, from having his own IMO, this is the only guy that I know personally that has his own IMO and is still out in the field writing business in the trenches with his agents that he's working with, from over $100,000 in debt to now making a ton of money. I mean, the referral machine. This guy from All Things Insurance Group. We got Pete Fournier, brother. Thanks for coming on here, man.
Thanks for having me, Johnny. Appreciate it, man.
Of course, dude. Well, let's get right into this. I know we were talking a little bit backstage, and I guess the first thing that I want to ask you is you're still in the field writing business. You got an IMO that you're running. I mean, a whole company, like, and you're still writing business. My biggest question for that is, like, why? If you still got an IMO and stuff.
So, no reason not to. I think there's agents, agency owners, IMO owners, whatever you want. There's so much time in a day to get stuff done. And I'm not a very good delegator, and you can still squeeze a lot in. So that's one. Number two, you have a license to print money. So if I want to test a new lead for the agency, if I want to spend some money on marketing and use me as the guinea pig beforehand, I'm going to do it myself before I release it to the rest of the IMO. It doesn't make any sense for me not to test it and give the scripts and the training and stuff like that to them before it gets released. And then thirdly, it's to really stay relevant. You know, I was at a captive a long time ago and won some contest to like go out in the field with, like, you know, one of the big wigs at the captive. And we went like 0 for 6 when he was presenting, or 0 for 5. And I was like, why the hell am I listening to this guy when he can't even close a door, let alone a sale? So I think it's really important to stay relevant, and so that agents aren't necessarily thinking that you're preaching from some ivory tower or like, hey, here's how I used to do things. I like being in the trenches with my team.
It's so good. I mean, that's really awesome. And you did $138,000 in premium. Was that issued premium? Issued paid or?
I did 117 in the month of June. I did another month that was 138, but the first time I did it was 117, and 115,582 got issued. So I had one app get declined. But yeah, it was a good month for the first time doing it.
Yeah, so people wanting to do that, go on a massive stretch like that. What was your headspace in that, going through that massive activity? I mean, doing the thing, like, what was your biggest mindset, like, going into that and being able to do that challenge?
So first thing was spending money, right? So I spent about $6,300 in leads for the month. Some agents don't spend that in a year, which is mind-boggling. But that was the first thing. You got to be prepared to take out the credit card and swipe it. The other thing was trying to leverage as many referrals and more market presentations as I could, because I knew based on my closing ratio, based on my contact rate, based on how many appointments I set per contact, because I'm a number maniac and I want to know all my numbers all the way down the list. I knew that if I had about, I would say $6,000 to $6,500 in lead spend, I knew I could write like 80 or 90,000 off of that, just based on all my pre-existing numbers, because you're just multiplying at that point in time. And then to fill the gap, my goal was writing 150. So to get that other, 60,000 or so, I need a lot of warm market and referrals. So that was like a huge focus for the month. And over 58% of that month was warm market and referrals.
That's crazy. So when you hit warm market up, were you hitting them up or were you posting? Were they just like commenting on stuff, or was it like texting, hey, do you got this taken care of? What'd that look like?
Yeah, I was a maniac that month. Not like I'm not outside of it, but more so direct messages, DMs, text messaging. I was posting a lot. Obviously, I was tracking the entire month. One of my buddies wanted to support too. He bought like a $37 term policy. He really didn't make a dent, but I'm glad like he wanted to support and I'd help them out with insurance. But a lot of it was like, who's having a baby, who's getting married, when's their birthday, because insurance gets more expensive as you turn older, right? So it'd be like, hey man, notice you're 30 days out. Notice we never sat together for insurance before. I know you know what I do. Let me just talk to you for like 15, 20 minutes. And if you're all good, you're all good. I'll tell you that you're fine. I would send hundreds of those. Plus going through my past referral spreadsheets were good too.
Yeah. So you're a monster at the referral game. And one of the biggest, you're one of the best sales trainers that I have seen in person. Like a lot of it's rah and hype. And I think you're very just like practical. Like this is how you do it and this is how you get it done. And obviously your results show for itself and still do. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you was, what's your mindset on getting referrals and what that looks like? Because you're a monster at that.
So a couple reasons why. One, in the beginning, when I went independent, I didn't really have any money for leads. I was coming out of a captive. I was at, take it or leave it, terrible contract. I was selling crap products to people. So not a lot of money coming out of that deal. And then I got in a bunch of roll-up debt early on by hiring the wrong people. So that culmination, basically, I had no money to buy primo leads, right? So I was working $1, $2, $3, 3-year-old mortgage protection age leads, flying all over the country trying to find these people. And I noticed early on that if I didn't have money for leads, I just needed more leads out of the leads I was buying. So every selling situation that I was in, I would try to get 1 or 2 referrals, whether I could help them or not. And then it was, I want to get 4 to 5 referrals per sale and 1 or 2 per non-sale, because even paying $3 for a lead, you come out of that house with 5 or 6 referrals. Now you're paying, 60 cents. And when you start developing A leads and you're spending $60, $80 on a mortgage protection lead, if you can get 4 or 5 referrals and turn it into $15 leads, your ROI is that much higher. So that was my initial mentality from it. 2, I read a book a long time ago that said that referrals will close at a 50% higher closing rate than whatever your current closing ratio is. So if you're a 30% closer, you're going to close referrals at 45%. If you're an 80% closer, you're going to have a 100% closing rate, like based on those statistics, right? On referrals. So reading that, I was like, let's just do what other successful people are doing and ask. And it worked. And so don't stop asking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one thing that I've been like really working on myself. I mean, I've talked to some guys like what that actually looks like, some guys that are monsters at it, and just asking, and it's like so awkward when you first ask, like because I wasn't used to asking, and then I started asking, and it actually worked. And then like I tried it yesterday and like wrote like, I don't know, a $2,400 app on the referral.
That's
and I
awesome.
literally called right after I took the app on his mom, and I was like, dang, it's like that easy. Because he has a family and all that. So it's like, was it was it, I think I know the answer, but like, was it a skill you had to like get better at? And like, how'd you get better at it? Just doing it or what?
Yeah, it was really awkward at first. Even asking, we did it a lot at the captives because they didn't really believe in leads, or like one of them had really terrible leads, so you needed referrals. So one thing that they taught, and I still preach, is leveraging the beneficiary, right? So that's like if you're really uncomfortable asking for a straight up referral, this is like the training wheels to do it. But you're going to want to get a primary, a contingent, a tertiary beneficiary on the policy. And then you need to explain what it means to be a beneficiary to the beneficiary, because there's millions upon millions of dollars of unclaimed life insurance money every year because no one tells them that they put them as a beneficiary or who to call or whatever. So leveraging those will be the initial training wheels for you. And you can get 2 to 3 referrals out of each presentation. And then after I got comfortable doing that, I started straight up asking because I wanted real referrals that I could close real policies on. And so trial and error, falling on my face a lot. I learned by doing, which I think is important. And a lot of agents don't tend to do that.
Yeah.
They want to learn it all and then try it as opposed to falling on their face. So it did take some perfecting. And I think I have like the perfect script down now for referral taking.
Yeah. What's I get, you don't have to go into it a ton, but I think what's your script for that, or like how do you ask for that? Like just straight up asking.
Yeah. So without going through the whole presentation, one of the most important aspects of asking for the referral is asking for someone that's in the same or similar financial situation that they're in. So I'm a pretty confident person in a house or on the phone. I may come across a little crass because I grew up in New Jersey. So at the end of my presentation and the sale and such, I'll say, Joe and Mary, obviously, like, this is how I make money. I need to help more people in order to do so. Now, I'm not the type of sleazy salesperson that's going to be like, write down 100 people with their names and numbers, and I'm going to go bother them. Real quick, though, I just need one person. Who do you know off the top of your head that's in the same or financial situation that you're in? Just name that person. And I'll snap in their face like that because it jars their memory. And they'll be like, well, Steve down the street's also on Social Security and I play pickleball with him. Perfect. What's Steve's name and number? Right? Steve Johnson, number. Do you mind if I call him and say you referenced me or like you referred him? Yeah, no problem. And that's it. The reason I started doing that, though, is because I wanted to get bigger apps. I wanted to stop selling $1 a days or $40 a month or $50 a month policies. So in order to do that, people usually hang out with people in the same or similar financial situations that they're in. You don't see millionaires hanging out with people that make $12 an hour typically, right? So if you close a $500 a month app or a $5,000 a month IUL, those people know other people that can afford that. So asking it that way, at least you'll get a person that's in their circle that can probably buy the same type of policy that they purchased.
Yeah. So I know that you mentioned on one of the podcasts I listened to recently, it was with Chase, was your average mortgage protection policy was $220 a month. And that's like more than double what mine is. And so how do you get that so high? Is it based on the, like just writing like, not IULs, but like return of premium options or what?
It's how I show it. So I always do a 3-option close especially in mortgage protection, but also for final expense. And I base the pitch solely on the value of what they're going to get from the policy. So like quickest overview possible. If I'm in an MP sit, I'm going to show, let's say they have a $400,000 house. I'm going to show a $400,000 fully underwritten term. I'm going to show a $400,000 option that they net zero on. Maybe it's a return of premium. Maybe it's a GUL. Maybe it's a IUL level death benefit, whatever. But they're going to net zero at the end. And then I'm going to show like a price buster one that's like crazy high that they profit from. And what I explain is like, Joe and Mary, this one might be the cheapest one, right? Without going into the full presentation, is this might be the least expensive. Let's say it's $50 a month. But $50 over 30 years, 12 months out of the year, you're negative $18,000 if you don't die. Okay. Now, the next one is $150 a month. It's triple. It looks way more expensive. But at the end of this one, you're actually going to receive all your funds back from the carrier. And the insurance company can do that because they're investing your premiums. They can afford to give you your principal back. You know the drill. And then
Yeah.
the third one, Joe and Mary, is what's called an index universal life, a whole life policy, whatever, for that same 400,000, because that's what they asked for. But at the end of this, if you decide to cash it out or take loans, whatever you want to do, if you want to nix the policy at the end of 30 years, you're profiting $87,000. So what would you rather do, Joe and Mary? Take the premium off the table for a second. Would you rather lose 18K, net zero, or make $87,000? And they're obviously going to say, well, we want to make $87,000, but we can't afford $650 a month. Okay, no problem. What can you afford? They're like, we don't want to go above 250. Cool. Restructure it, do the whole life, maybe add some fully underwritten term on there to max out their benefit to get them to that 400,000. Bing, bang, boom. Now you got a $3,000 app. So you can't be scared to show it, but you also have to explain to the person what they're getting out of the premium payment, because clients do not make a correlation between premium and benefit. Yeah. This benefit over here, $1 million means nothing to them. They can't conceptualize that. So show them what the policy is going to do for them while they're alive. The death benefit's just extra.
So good. It's so good. And I know that your final expense presentation is similar, which is awesome. I love that, the 3 options and really solid, just tangible, like practical stuff. And I learned a ton from your breakout at SWAT, because you broke this down like super in depth, which is mind boggling, which is really good. It's helped me a ton. So I want to segue into you being in debt, over 100,000. In the moment, probably not the greatest feeling. But if there's an agent out there that's like, say 20 or 30 grand in debt, what would your advice be to them based on your experience to really get out of that and become profitable and really like start making a ton of money?
Yeah. I think there's a couple points, both mindset wise and kind of realism to that situation. The realism part, if you're in that much debt and it's like tangible debt, maybe it's credit card debt, maybe it's, roll up debt. Like I had, I had $49,000 in roll up debt, plus car expenses and credit card debt and student loans, all summing to 100. So don't think that I got in 100K of roll up debt, audience. It was not that much, but it was still 48, which sucked. Yeah. And that just added to everything. But some realistic advice is, try, if you can, I know everybody's credit situation is different, but I still can't get a Chase credit card because I kept getting 6 to 12 months, 0% interest card balance transfers. And you pay a little bit of an extra fee to do that. So you're adding more to the debt, but it's giving you time to pay that off without interest accumulating. So if you're in that situation, go get a 0% APY credit card. It's not that hard to get. And don't keep rolling it like I did, like roll it once and get out of it. So I think that's an important tool that's not utilized a lot in this business. Mindset wise, you got to get your head right. I let it loom over me like a dark cloud for months, if not maybe a year. My wife will tell you back then dating me was not pleasant. I was down in the dumps all the time. And it's important to focus not so much on the negative balance, on breaking down what you can do to get out of it as fast as humanly possible. And I know that's really trivial and basic advice, but like for $100,000, I broke it down by saying, hey, if I just wrote $150,000 in premium over a 6 to 12 month span of time, and I kept 80% of my business, you reverse engineer the math. And you start to think it's not that hard anymore to get out of this. Like, stop being like, woe is me, and just kind of go to work. And now you're going to tell me, right, well, I don't have money. I'm in 30 grand in debt. Like, what am I going to do? Dude, I live in a neighborhood with like 4,000 houses, cold door knock people. I was riding my bike to appointments because I didn't have money for gas. Like, it's just shit that you have to do to get out of the situation if you really want to. A lot of people kind of want to play the pity party and be stuck in that rut. Yeah. They don't have the mental fortitude to say, I really don't want to be in this situation anymore. But it's kind of my motivator, is that fear of never wanting to go backwards to that situation, Yeah. And watch or read the book, The Secret. It'll help you from what's
the book? Who's it by?
That's a great question. I have no idea. To me, it's a lady. I know that, but I forget her name. But you can watch it. I don't know if it's still on
Rhonda
Netflix.
Byrne?
Yes. So
Gotcha.
it talks about the law of attraction and how thoughts become things, and your negative mindset is leading you down a path of negativity and debt and everything like that. If you're thinking about debt, you're going to get more debt. If you're thinking about paychecks, you're going to get more paychecks. As simple as that, right? So getting in the right headspace, I fell asleep to that damn audio for like 18 months. My girlfriend at the time, now wife, sick of that friggin' movie. Like, I can't even watch it anymore in front of her because she was like, this is all I heard falling asleep at night. But that stuff's important. Being around positive people, listening to positive affirmations consistently. You need that stuff. Good music, whatever keeps you in a happy mood. You got to maintain that if you're in that sort of financial distress, you know?
Yeah. So when you like working out of that, like what are some practical things that you would focus on to like really get yourself out of that?
Yeah, one, I had to get a job because all my premium was going to debt. So it's not even like I was getting like paid commissions when I sold the policy, right? For the most part. So I had to go get a W-2. Didn't like it. Felt like a POS doing it. But at least that gave me a base. So then I could work 6 to 10 and on weekends. Like, don't take it as a crutch saying, well, I'm just going to work this business part-time now. No, I wanted to work the W-2 part-time, meaning like a year, 2 years, however long I needed to do that, in order to get my business up and running the right way. So go get a job if you need to. If you need to take a lower comp and have leads sponsored for you, I give Sam Wolf a lot of credit. He was my mentor at that time. He told me, go get a 0% APY credit card, put all your bills like on a personal one, take this, use it for lead and flights and hotels and whatever, and pay that crap off at the end of the month. So I would drop like $4,000 or $5,000 on a travel trip, make 10. Some of it would go to personal debt, some would go to reinvestment, and the rest would go to pay off that credit card at the end of the month, and just keep doing that. And you start chipping away. You know, you're not going to hit grand slams and write 50K probably, because you don't have the tangible resources to be able to do that if you're in that much debt. But you'll start chipping away 4,000 or 5,000 at a time, and all of a sudden it's down to the last couple $100, and you're like, wow, that really didn't take that long. But again, you got to want to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, that takes a ton of discipline to do. That's definitely not something most agents I feel like would endure, is that much of like, dang, seeing the end to it. What kept you motivated in that time, like to keep your foot on the gas over and over and over again?
Knowing that it was only temporary. Like, there's a reason people were better entrepreneurs were in way worse situations than I was and got out of it. So it's definitely doable. One. Number two, I think people don't have the mental capacity, or they don't want to learn the skill set or whatever to do it, because they don't think of this industry as a true career. I feel like so many agents are very short-sighted when it comes to like comp or resources, or like they talk about the next 6 to 12 months. I met so many multimillionaires in that span of like 2.5 years, my first 2.5 years in the business. I was like, this is a career. So if I start doing this now and I'm in it for 30 years and say I'm in debt for 2 out of those 30, who cares? So being able to see long distance of what this industry is going to do for you kept me going.
Yeah.
And trust me, I was not positive every day. Like, I was a pain in the ass to be around some days. So don't think I'm like, no, up on this pedestal being like, yeah, I persevered. Like, no, it sucked. I was like drinking and like all this shit. Like, I was depressed, you know? But just know that this is a long-term investment in your financial future. Just like we tell our clients, right? These policies are, this industry is. So if you're in that rut, just keep going, because when you look back, it'll be a blip on the radar. I promise.
I love it. As we wrap up here, you have a ton of agents that you work with. What are some character traits that you see in successful agents that like somebody newer into the industry or struggling that you would like that you see this what they can try to emulate and have as well?
Yeah. Some of it comes from finances, first of all. So I ask every agent if they're onboarding with me, if they have 3 to 5,000 set aside to start their business. If they tell me no, I'm going to tell them a couple very hard things that they're going to have to do in order to get that 3 to 5,000, because the worst insurance agents are scared ones. If you need that next commission check, or you need to close that deal and go 2 for 2 today in the field or whatever, because you got debt looming over you or whatever the case may be, or a nagging spouse saying this isn't going to work, you're not going to work. It's not going to pan out for you. So having some sort of nest egg or reliance, or maybe a spouse that works, or money saved up, that's a necessity for a carrier trait. Now, I've seen miracles happen and people come in here broke and they make a ton of money or whatever, but that's an enigma. That's not going to happen 95% of the time. You need money to start your business. The other thing is, I used to be of the mindset, and if you see past content, you could do this part-time, you could do this full-time. I still believe that, but if you're treating this as part-time, it's a hobby and a side hustle, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just not so much looking for that anymore. I want people invested that in 3 to 5 years that I'm going to turn you into a sales ninja, and you'll be able to sell every life and health product on the planet. So if you're looking at like, oh, I just want to write a couple policies a week here and there, or a month, that's great. I'm probably not the organization necessarily for you. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, because I believe side hustles are awesome. But those are kind of the two main ones that I'm looking for. Right away, if people are like, what's the expenses? Are there minimums? I don't have that much to start. Do you pay for licensing? Like, a lot of that is red flags. And maybe not to everybody, but it is to me, because I knew what kind of headspace I was in when I was broke, and I wouldn't want to have me on my team in that situation. And it's no offense to if you're in that situation, but if you're asking me to, pay for your fingerprinting, you probably find somewhere else to go,
Yeah, I love it. And treating it like a business, how it is. I mean, you're really starting up a business. It's not just like all right, cool. Like, I'm getting into this group and all of a sudden like magic's going to happen and I'm going to start making millions doing nothing.
Doing nothing. Yeah. And I think too, agents watching this, if you don't have an agency yet, maybe you don't even have like 1 or 2 agents underneath you yet. You're just personal producer. Remember that your upline, your mentor, your IMO, your agency is running a business. So like, you have to give forth as much effort as that person's giving into you too, because real quick, you can become a time suck. I was one back in the day. Yeah. I know. So remember that coming into this, or when you're switching organizations or whatever, just know it's got to be a mutually exclusive relationship. When an agent's talking to me about coming to work with me, or maybe they're brand spanking new, they're like, well, you're going to help me with like every deal, and you're going to do this and you do that. I'm like, hell no. Like, you got to put in some effort on your end too. I'm going to give you every tool, but I can't knock the door for you, or else I don't need you. I'll do it myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, can you close the deals for me and me get paid everything?
Yeah, like what? Or I want like a 140 out the gate, and I wrote 6 apps last year. Like, come on, man. So like a lot of those things are red flags, and I'm sure a lot of other agency owners that came on here have said similar stuff. It seems to be a running theme,
I love it, dude. It's been a pleasure talking to you, having you on here. If people liked what they heard, how can they reach out to you or work with you possibly as well?
Yeah, so on all social media, it's Peter J. Fournier, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Shoot me a DM, whatever. You go to allthingsinsurancegroup.com if you want to check out the IMO, and you can go to petefournier.com, just my name, for coaching products. I got a bunch of free trainings on there, whatever you want to do. Most people, and I'm running my social. So if you DM me, I'm gonna respond to you. So
it's actually him, guys. I love it. Well, Pete, thanks so much for coming on here, man. And thanks so much for watching this to the end. Guys, firsthand, like I'm been in the field for a little bit now, and I love Pete's content, to be honest, because it's just genuine, real. It's like, hey, didn't have the best, like the most productive day, still wrote 2 apps, whatever, making the most out of it. And it's like just the real stuff. It's not like, hey, like every day I'm writing 15,000 of life business and taking 10 Medicare apps. It's not like that. And that's what's really cool. And we need those people in the industry to keep people like grounded. And so I just want to say I really respect it. I love it. I'm trying to do that as well because a lot of people need it, man. Like seriously. So definitely go follow him, check him out. He answers pretty quick on DMs too. So yeah, thanks guys so much for watching every single Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Peace out.
See you, Johnny.